have the opportunity to talk. So you can also ask questions in the chat box. So please feel free to do that as we go through our program. Following each one.
Kendra, you've muted yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I pressed some button. See what happens in Zoom land. So we have a website also that is part of this program that features self-paced lessons and do-it-yourself experiences for you to go through in between our Zoom lessons. After each one of our Zoom meetings, a new lesson will appear. This month's lesson is all on kitchen basics, and you'll learn knife skills and you'll learn about measuring and some food safety. There's a lot of really good lessons, as well as there's two do-it-yourself experiences that are part of this first lesson. So we'll show you that website later on in our program and kind of give you a chance to take a look at it and see what it's all about. You're here for our kickoff today, and we are still accepting registrations. So if you like what you experienced today and you want to invite somebody else, our registration is open through February 23rd up until our next meeting. So please tell your friends. And then as you go through our website and you do your do-it-yourself, try it at home recipes, we're asking you to post all of your fun on social media. We have a hashtag for you to use. It's #AHealthyTable, and all of that is on the website for you to take a look at later on. So we'd like to kick things off with a poll for you today, and going with our Valentine's Day theme. If you were a conversation heart, what would you say? More coffee, please. Go Gators. Can't mask my love. Bless your heart. Let's video chat, or virtual hugs. Oh, I see we've got some more coffee, please. I know I could use another cup of coffee, but then I might not sleep tonight. And it looks like virtual hugs for the win. Kind of close between more coffee, please. So we want you to be able to see the results, so you can see there.
Looks like we have a bunch of people wanting to give some virtual hugs.
I think so. I think so. All right. Well, to start off our kickoff today, I'm going to turn it over to Melanie Taylor. She is one of our University of Florida IFAS Family and Consumer Sciences agents in Bay County.
Hello, and welcome. My name is Melanie Taylor. I'm the Family and Consumer Science Extension Agent in Bay County. So I'm actually located in Panama City. And since you are here for the extra class that got you the special class for the night, we are going to be focusing on Valentine's Day, which will be this weekend. And so I'm not going to give you the secret yet of what we're making, but I think you'll probably get it figured out in just a minute. Let me turn on my PowerPoint. Give me just a second. There it is. And we're going to talk about chocolate. Kendra, can you all see that? Yeah, everybody can? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So because we are going to be doing some Valentine's things tonight, we're going to specifically talk about chocolate. So I'm going to start with the chocolate basics, and then the next few speakers will get a little more in depth. Obviously, with Valentine's Day, chocolate is something that we all like, hopefully. I know a few people who don't, and I don't understand that, but that's okay, to each our own. First of all, just to give you some history, chocolate is made from the fermented bean of the Theobroma cocoa tree. That tree is small to medium size, which is 25 to 30 feet, and it's an evergreen. and it's also very delicate. They lose about 30% of their crop a year due to that delicateness of the tree. It's native to Mexico, Central America, and Northern South America, but it has been planted for farm production all around the world. And it grows best in hot, humid, tropical areas that have evenly distributed rainfall. So that's just a little history for you. The seeds or the beans of the cocoa tree are very bitter tasting. So they have to be fermented first before they're going to really develop their flavor. After the fermentation, those beans are dried, cleaned, and then roasted. And then the shell of the cocoa bean is actually removed, and inside of that are the cocoa nibs. And those are small pieces of crushed cocoa beans that have a bitter but chocolatey flavor. Those nibs are then ground into the cocoa paste. This paste liquefies when it's heated, and this liquid substance is a chocolate liquor, and it's the base material from which all chocolate is made. I saw several things when I was putting this together that said people think when you say chocolate liquor that you're talking about alcohol. This is not the alcohol version. That would be chocolate liqueur, and that is once they've added alcohol to those chocolates. But right now it's just the chocolate liquor. It's just the straight chocolate liquidation. The chocolate liquor contains cocoa solids, which is a mixture of the non-fat substances, and cocoa butter, which is the fat. And those both are extracted from the bean and separated from each other until they decide what they're going to be making with it. Also, if you're more interested, I found it very interesting today on YouTube. There are lots of videos from different chocolate factories showing you exactly how they do the entire process from the bean all the way to the candy bar. So that would be a good thing for somebody to go check out if you have an interest in that kind of thing. Also, current research still supports that chocolate can still be enjoyed as part of a healthy, balanced diet and lifestyle. And that is good for me to hear. It's just remembering how much you need to maintain in your diet that's still healthy, not overindulging. The three main types of chocolate, basically you can put all types of chocolate in one of these categories. First, we have dark chocolate, and that's the bare essential of chocolates. That is where everything starts, no matter what type of chocolate you are. Dark chocolate is also known in the store as semi-sweet, bittersweet, and plain chocolate. So that is interesting because a lot of people think it has to say dark chocolate, but if it also says semi-sweet, bittersweet, or plain chocolate, it is a form of dark chocolate. Milk fat can sometimes be added to those dark liquors to help soften its texture. If you've ever gotten a dark chocolate bar, sometimes it's crumbly. So they may add some milk fat to soften that texture, but no matter what, it's not going to have a milky flavor like milk chocolate will. The darker chocolate obviously has less sugar and milk and other ingredients like flavoring, nuts, that kind of thing, that have been added. And it's always going to contain high cocoa percentages of 55 to 100%. So when you look on the bag, it usually tells you. And the higher the percentage of cocoa, the more bitter it's going to be. And it's going to have a minimum of 35% chocolate liquor inside of it. These percentages are actually rated by the FDA, which is the which always labels our foods for us. And you will find, if you look it up, dark chocolate actually is not rated. It's just about 55% to 100, but milk chocolate and white chocolate are extremely specific in their guidelines. So for milk chocolate, it's all of the above ingredients in dark chocolate, plus adding milk solids, like sweet and creamy milk. Chocolate, sweet and creamy milk chocolate is usually made with dry milk solids. So that's an interesting thing when you watch the video, is you'll see instead of them adding in wet milk, it's going to be dry milk that looks like powdered milk. It must contain, and this is based on the FDA rules, must contain at least 10% cocoa liquor by weight and at least 12% milk solids for it to be considered milk chocolate. And this is the most common kind of chocolate eaten around the world, which I probably don't think most of you are surprised about. The third type of chocolate is white chocolate. It features the cocoa butter. So visualize this in your mind. Think about milk chocolate without the cocoa solids. So added is cocoa butter, sugar, white solids, lecithin, which is a soy emulsifier that helps bind the cocoa and the solids and the sugar and the milk, and sometimes vanilla, it depends on the brand. And it contains at least 20% cocoa butter, 14% milk solids, and no more than 55% sugar to be white sugar. white chocolate, excuse me. So these are the three main types of chocolates. And then from there, you can break each one of those down into different categories and classes. And there's a list of about 50 of them, but I'm not going to go into that because also if you look at different sites, they'll label them differently depending on the chocolate factory that the food's coming from. So we're just going to focus on these three, knowing they're the main ones that you start with.
So Melanie,
Yes.
in order to have a well-balanced day, you need some of all three. Is that right?
Correct, of course. Actually, VG is going to talk about heart health in just a minute, but dark chocolate's going to always be your choice for the healthier of the chocolates because it's got less sugar, no milk, very little sugar usually. And if you like bitter chocolate, then that's the way to go. Once you start adding in the creamy milks and sugars, it does become a little less healthy, but everything in moderation, right, Angela?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so one of the things you're going to learn tonight is how to melt and dip chocolate. And if you've ever done it before, if you've tried it with the morsels that you can buy in the store, just the basic milk chocolate or dark chocolate morsels, it can be kind of difficult to get them to melt smoothly enough that it doesn't taste grainy or look grainy. And the reason for that is they actually make a specific type of melting and dipping chocolate. The best chocolate you can buy for that is called couverture. And that's French. I'm not French, so I said that exactly the way I learned it on dictionary.com. So that is the class of chocolate. That is not like one of the three types of chocolates. It's just a class underneath the chocolates. These are very, very high end chocolates. They have a high ratio of cocoa butter to cocoa. And because they have that extra cocoa butter in it, it helps it melt more smoothly. And if you cannot find the actual couverture, which is usually made by the high-end chocolate companies, just use the best chocolate that you can find based on the ones that are in the store. Just make sure they have a good high quality of cocoa butter in them. And if you want dark milk or white chocolate, just make sure you're getting the best kind that you can get for dipping. And if you use a higher quality chocolate, it'll melt better. It won't be grainy. It'll dip smoothly. It will dry shiny instead of having that little white haze on it, and it'll taste better. And you can see in my picture to the right there that I use the chocolate melts or the chocolate wafers, they have different names depending on the brand. And those definitely are made for melting specifically, and it says that, and for dipping. So I recommend those. They're not super high end, so they're affordable, and you can get those in any kind, at any brand. But if you want to make good, pretty, dipped fruits or dipped snacks, whatever it is, you definitely want to go with something that's going to be smooth and have that shiny finish. Also make sure when you're melting the chocolate, whether you do it on the stovetop or in the microwave, it doesn't matter. But if you're melting it, try not to melt too small of amount at a time. It cools off too quickly and then it'll start to clump together because of the surface area is so small. So you'll just have to keep starting over. So definitely you want to make a little bit more chocolate than you actually need. It'll should last you the entire process of whatever you're trying to dip without it melting or without it hardening too quickly. All right, so basically those are the basic facts about chocolate. Here's some dark milk chocolate in the middle in the bigger container because that's the most popular. And we've got white chocolate on the right. Do I have any questions at this point?
Is there a difference in the sugar content in the types of chocolates?
Dark chocolate has very little amounts of sugar. The lighter it gets, because there are lighter versions of dark chocolate, it's going to have more sugar or some kind of milk base in it, or milk solid, excuse me, not the actual milk. And then it gets sweeter with milk chocolate, and it gets even sweeter because think you're basing it just on the white chocolate's just based on mainly the cocoa butter and then adding milk and sugar and whatever other flavors and ingredients you want. So that makes a big difference if you're trying to watch your sugars. And is somebody watching the chat box or do I need to pull it up?
Yes, no, I was just going through it for you. And we have our expert team of agents who is responding to some of the questions. So I think we're good. Judy even posts, a couple of people posted some fact sheets about chocolate there too. So excellent to our team of county faculty.
Awesome.
And if you still have a question, I'm not leaving yet. I just want to go on to, I did use some fun sources. The National Confectioner Association has an awesome website about just about any kind of chocolate you can think of. So that's a good place to go and just kind of get a variety of when you're baking or when you're wanting a snack, the kinds of things they recommend. Of course, it's all based on preference, but it's some interesting information on there, pictures too. Same thing with the EDIS document that I used here for the historical and the botanical information that I talked about in the very beginning. It just talks about if you want to grow them in Florida and how you could include them into your landscaping. Of course, you'd have to protect it from cold weather like we've had recently, but it is possible if you want to try it, and there's some guidelines on there for it.
A lot of good information.
Thank you.
Something Marie and I, on a trip to DC, we went to the National Botanical Gardens, and they have a couple of cocoa trees growing there, don't they, Marie?
Yes, they do.
So if you want to see something in person,
Right.
you can go there. It's pretty cool. They might have them at other locations, but
Right. That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, so if you're at home, you can actually click on my image here, and it should enlarge. So me being your presenter, there we go. Okay, so welcome to my kitchen. I have some of those discs that Melanie was talking about. I have some white chocolate and I have some dark chocolate. But I also have a few different items here that we are going to dip. And some of these are not the traditional things that you would actually see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt my screen down so you can see what I have and what I have going on here. So everybody loves a dipped pretzel. And absolutely, why not? That sweet and salty thing. We all like that. But I also have kiwi, of course, the strawberries, but I also have banana. And little banana chips dipped in chocolate are just absolutely wonderful. It's one of my husband's favorite things. So Melanie talked about melting the disc, and I use the microwave. I also have a piece of wax paper here that you can use to set your product on once you've dipped it. But if you have these silicone liners for your baking sheets, these work really awesome as well. So I went ahead and melted some white chocolate, and it's real smooth and shiny. I use the disc as well. I have used almond bark in the past, and if it gets overheated, it will get grainy. You have to throw it away. It just doesn't work. I rinse my strawberries really well. I pat them dry. You want to make sure that they are thoroughly dry before you use them. But the thing about the kiwi, and I will show you also, I have melted my dark chocolate as well. The kiwi has a lot of moisture content. So you have to pat it and get rid of a little bit of that extra moisture before you dip it. But this is something that's really fun to do with kids. You can take them and you can trick them into eating those fruits that they never want to eat. A fun fact I found out about kiwi is it's actually a large berry. So it grows on woody vines, and you can also eat the exterior. It's a little bit tart, but it's actually really good for you. So they have a lot of fiber, and they're got a lot of vitamin C in them. They're really good for you. So bananas, I use a really firm banana. I won't say green, but really firm. You can dip those as well. As I said, that is like my husband's favorite. If I'm going to dip fruit, I have to dip bananas. That's really all he wants. My favorite is actually kiwi. And I will tell you, these strawberries are really pretty. These are Plant City ones. He actually found some for me this afternoon. And so you can just dip these. You can allow these to dry, harden a little bit, as Melanie was talking about. And then you could go back and you could double dip them. Or you can, if you have your so desire, you can just decorate with random patterns, or you can, after your chocolate has dried, dip it in white chocolate, or you can take a Ziploc bag and just cut a corner. You can very strategically draw a bow tie on there, 3 little dots, make a little tuxedo. The sky's the limit, but it's something that's really fun to do with kids. You can use apple slices, orange slices. You can dip orange peels. Pineapple works well. It's another one that's got a lot of moisture content. You got to blot them. Popcorn. What if you made popcorn and you spread it out on a cookie sheet and you just drizzle chocolate over it? The sky's the limit. You can dip marshmallows. So it's just really, really, really super simple to do. You can get your pretzels and get those dipped as well. So I'm going to continue dipping, and I'm going to let Vigi take over, and she's going to talk to you a little bit more.
Marie, before you go, there was a question, I believe, from Judith, and she said white chocolate melts slower and stays thicker. Any recommendations?
So I have seen that like with other things, but not these discs. And I don't endorse any one brand over the other, but the melting disc, this is not, I don't know if anybody can still see my screen or not, but it's pretty thin. It's not as thick.
About how long does it take to sit there, before, I don't know, they're the what you think is a good consistency to start eating? Or just start eating as fast as you can as you make them?
I mean, honestly, that dark chocolate is hardened up pretty well, and you can see that it has already hardened. I usually let it sit for a good 5 minutes or so. And if I'm going to go back and drizzle something else over it, or double dip or whatever. While they're still wet, if you so desire, if you have little kids, you could put sprinkles on them. It's just whatever you want to do, but it's just a good way to have something really fun that has still some nutritional content to it if you use the fruits or things like that. So I can't see the chat box, but I did see something pop up there.
Somebody did say that in a chocolate fountain, the white is harder to manage, but I think that would be perfectly fine to stick with the regular milk chocolate or the darker.
Absolutely. So,
so how about if you add some food coloring, would that be okay for the white? And then you could go along with every holiday and different colors, or does that?
I mean, you could, if, St. Patrick's Day's coming up, you could put a couple of dots of green in there, and you could make something really interesting. I challenge whoever asked to do that and put a picture up for us.
Actually,
awesome.
Angela, I found that they do sell a thinning dipping aid, so it will actually thin the chocolate out, help you control that consistency. But also that you could use in lieu of that, you could use white vegetable shortening. Just a little bit of that, add it as you're melting, and it should help thin that out. Of course, it's going to take slower white chocolate a longer time to melt than the others because of the fats and things in there.
Awesome.
That's
Thank
correct.
you.
There's also somebody on here, it's Wendy. She says that her daughter and her like to add food coloring to white chocolate and have a lot of fun with colors to dip and decorate with. And then Julie added that they had blue and pink for a gender reveal. So that's fun.
Oh, that is fun. I like that. Really cool. Thank you for sharing those ideas. Awesome.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Marie, for all that. And I'll be moving along now. And hopefully, give me a second, you will be able to see my screen and the presentation going along with it. So hello, everyone. My name is Virgilia Zabala. I go by VG for short, so you'll hear both names. And I am also an extension agent. I am located in Orlando. I'm in Orange County, and I'm also a registered dietitian. So today I'll be talking a little bit about heart health and chocolate. Some of you may have heard some things and we've discussed them already, so we'll kind of get a little bit more in depth with that. And today we're going to talk over some of these questions you may have. So what can chocolate do for our health, and why is it that it might do that, and how do we actually know if it's good for us? Is there a catch? There seems to always be a catch, right? And then a question I get commonly is, how much should I eat, and what else can I do for heart health? So these are some of the topics that we will be going over. I want to try something, if you will indulge me. If you have a phone and you don't mind sending a text message to the number you see on the screen here, 37607, your word is Choice Boat 787. This will get you into a survey that we're going to do, or you can do it on the website you see there. So I'll give you a second to get those numbers. So 37607 is the number that you are texting. The message is Choice Boat 787. So hopefully you're getting that ready, and I am going to open up the question here, and we kind of already discussed it, but we'll see how everyone's doing. So which chocolate is the best for heart health? Once you've texted Choice Boat 787, you are in the survey, and then you can just text A, B, or C. Text A for white chocolate, B for milk chocolate, and C for dark chocolate. So I'll give it a minute and we'll see some of those responses coming in. I already see some. And again, we'll give it just about a minute, and we've already discussed some of the differences. Melanie did a great job of going over what goes into our chocolate, why are there different types of chocolate, and it has to do with some of those components. So I'm not seeing anyone just yet. Giovanni, thank you for your question. So you may not be able to do the text message from Mauritius, but you may be able to enter on the website, pollev.com/choiceboat787. If not, it's okay. It's just to kind of get some participation on your end to see how you're following along. So the reason I think I'm not seeing any answer choices for A or B is because you all were paying attention earlier, and C is the answer of choice. So I will go ahead and lock that. Thank you for participating, and we'll see if we'll do another one later. But yes, that's typically what we hear, is we hear that if we're going to choose chocolate, then dark chocolate would be a better choice. And we've already talked about some of why that might be. It could be the sugar content, or could it be something else? Let's find out. So what is it about chocolate that can help our health? What are the studies finding? What we see is that some studies have shown that there is a correlation or an association with people who consume chocolate on what they deem to be a regular basis for that study, and some heart health benefits or some cardiovascular benefits. You see some of them on the screen here. They have to do with blood circulation, vessel elasticity. So that just means your veins and your arteries can kind of contract a little bit easier or expand a little bit easier. They are seeing some other benefits that might relate to insulin, lower cholesterol, lower risk for coronary artery disease. That's a type of heart disease, heart attack, stroke, cancer, you name it. So I put cancer on there twice. That was a typo. And so what we are seeing is that there's an association with heart health and chocolate consumption, depending on the study that is being done and what they're looking at. So why is that? So Melanie already went through some of the specifics of how we get chocolate. So again, the cacao comes from those raw seeds of the Theobroma cacao tree. Cacao contains something called flavonols, and these are just chemical compounds found in the chocolate. The two compounds that have been studied and may have some of these, give us some of these health benefits, are called catechin and epicatechin. Not really relevant, but I thought I would throw it out there for you in case you were curious. And it's these flavonols that are thought to act as antioxidants and do something that is stimulating nitric oxide. So that bottom box that you see there, that's what's leading to some of these health benefits, or so they think. So is, the flavanol that's found in the cacao, which comes from that cacao tree. That specific chemical is what they think is giving us some of these benefits. But do we really know? How do we know this is good for us? And so far, it's all been observational studies. And these observational studies are just showing an association. So they're looking at people, they're looking at what they're eating, and then they're measuring these outcomes for heart health and seeing, it seems to be that the people who eat this have this benefit. You see an example here from the British Medical Journal saying that they reviewed 7 studies and they saw that people who consumed chocolate had a almost 40% risk reduction for heart disease or cardiovascular disease and a 20% risk reduction in stroke. If all that sounds a little bit confusing, it is. It is not clear yet. What we do know is that these observational studies do not prove cause and effect. So they have not been able to say with certainty that chocolate is giving us these benefits or how they're giving us these benefits. So everything is still a little bit fuzzy, a little bit gray when it comes to figuring out how we know if chocolate's good for us. Is it actually good for us, or is it just kind of a coincidence or an association? Typically, we do hear that dark chocolate is the one to have the most benefits. And I think it's the one that's been studied more and more often. But in some of these studies, they're seeing it could be dark, it could be light, chocolate bars, chocolate drinks, confections. So it's very mixed, it's very gray. Well, what does that mean for us? Does that mean, is there a catch? Can I still eat chocolate or what? And so we were gonna get a little bit more in depth, so bear with me. So we said we get the cocoa from the cocoa tree. That cocoa is processed, and then we get something called cacao. Wait, the other way around. We get cacao from the cacao tree, and that's processed and it becomes cocoa. Why they did this to the names, I'm not sure. It just makes it a little bit confusing. So that cocoa and that cacao can contain some of those flavonols, which we said are good for our health. The catch there is those flavonols are bitter. They don't taste good in our palates. And so manufacturers, when they're making their chocolates, they want them to taste good. And so they process some of this cocoa to remove the bitterness. And when they remove the bitterness, they remove a bit of those flavonols. So as you know, if you're kind of thinking through, well, if the flavonols may give us some benefits, and then you're processing it to remove it, then how much benefit is left over? And that's where some of that grayness comes in from the studies. There's a particular process called Dutching or alkalinization to remove those flavonols. And for example, I have at home a dark chocolate cocoa powder, and it says it is Dutched. So I can tell you it is not bitter, it is pretty sweet. And even though it's dark chocolate, now I know that because it's Dutched, they remove some of those flavonols. So, you know, it's great to know if, it's a little bit gray in terms of knowing if I'm actually getting flavonols or benefits. It's not something that's listed on the label like you see on the nutrition facts label, fats, sugars, etc. There's really no way of knowing how much flavanol you're getting from the different kinds of chocolate. Also, we have to keep in mind that the good stuff comes with some bad stuff. So namely, our chocolates, as we mentioned earlier, have different types of fats added to them. And these fats are saturated fats, which are harmful for our heart health. And there's also a good amount of sugar, hence why they taste so sweet. So just a brief overview of what Melanie talked about earlier. Chocolate is usually starts out with the cocoa, and then they add some sugar, and then they add a certain amount of fat from milk solids and from that cocoa butter. And how much depends on the type of chocolate and what they want the end product to be. So milk chocolate has that Dutch cocoa where they typically remove the flavonols, and then they add a good amount of sugar. I think Melanie told us up to 55% sugar, right? And then it's some fat added in there too. White chocolate, a lot of people don't consider it to be true chocolate because it doesn't have any of that cocoa. It's just the cocoa butter. So the fat from those cacao seeds plus some sugar. So fat and sugar, fat and sugar. And then the dark chocolate, as we learned earlier, might be a bit less processed. It may not have as much as the sugar or as much of some of the other ingredients. It could still have a little bit of those flavonols. If you've ever tried, and you can put it in the chat box, the percentages. So sometimes the dark chocolate will tell you it is 75% or 80% dark. And you can kind of tell once it gets to a certain point, it becomes really bitter. I don't know what percentage I was up to, but I don't think I could make it past 70%. It was just too bitter and less sweet. So knowing that we get the benefits usually from the flavonols, knowing that the flavonols are usually removed for milk chocolates, and for dark chocolate, it could be, depending on the processing, you start to really consider if there will be some benefits proven at some point about the different types of chocolate. And I see Kendra saying in the chat, she likes her chocolate sweet, right? And some of us, a lot of us do. As we've said, milk chocolate tends to be the most popular kind. So then there's the question, okay, well then how much should I eat if I want to have some heart benefits and I want to eat some chocolate? We'll just have to let you know that there's not been a set dose determined to prove to have heart health benefits. The studies are all different. They look at different amounts. What some of them have said is maybe once or twice per week, you may see some benefits if there truly is one. And what I would say is just be mindful of those extra calories from fat and sugar and enjoy your chocolate because you like it. Enjoy it because it is a treat, not necessarily because you consider it to be medicine or you're gonna think that it's gonna give you some of those heart protective effects. If you do wanna protect your heart, it is American Heart Month. So I figured I would share some other things that we could do for heart health. Things like consuming a variety of fruits and vegetables. And we know this, and Marie was just showing us a great way to get some fruits in is by dipping them with a little bit of chocolate, including some sources of fiber, things like whole grains, beans, legumes. Those are great sources of fiber and have amazing heart health benefits and other benefits. Choosing healthy fats, such as avocados, nuts, and liquid oils instead of solid fats like butter or lard. And also cooking at home. Cooking at home can have a lot of benefits. You can choose what you're putting in your food, how much fat, how much salt, and hopefully through this program, you'll learn some healthy cooking methods and feel more confident and comfortable cooking at home. So here we are to support you on your quest for good heart health. Getting active is always a great idea. Any amount of physical activity that you do can be beneficial to your health, so we highly encourage that. And if you do smoke, finding ways to quit smoking, do know that it is linked with a lot of negative health outcomes and heart problems. So yes, you can eat chocolate for heart health, but just because you enjoy it in terms of the taste and the experience, as Kendra mentioned in the chat, no stress eating, right? If you are stressed, find a way to de-stress, hopefully something that gets you moving, phone a friend, take a bath, do some meditation, whatever you have to do to relax. That could also be very helpful. And then once you are relaxed, then you're able to enjoy a small quantity of chocolate. So I have another poll, and this is again just for funsies. If you were able to text, you can text choice vote again, but I have to activate the poll, so give me a second. And it'll be the same number. You may not have to text it twice. We're gonna give this a try. So I'm gonna activate it and then just share it full screen, just in terms of how feedback, if you're enjoying the presentation, if you feel like you're learning a lot, learning a little, or if you knew the information already, you should be able to text in those answers. And see, this time we have those poll percentages moving up and down as people are answering. So that's really cool. And Laura, there you go. You could also put it in the chat box if you feel like you're learning a lot. That's always good feedback for us to have. So as we're answering these poll questions, if you have questions, this is a great time that you're able to put it in the chat box. You can use, there's a raise hands feature, or if you feel like you need to unmute and ask, you are also welcome to do that. So this is where we are so far. And I will probably lock it there. And again, we are here. There's a whole team of us. I lost count. I think we're at 14 of us who are part of the University of Florida and would be happy to answer questions And hopefully we've been able to answer some questions so far, and we're not done yet. We still have a bit more to show you. But if you have questions, now's a great time to put them in the chat or unmute and share.
Thank you, VG. We'll be looking at the chat and we'll see what comes up. I think Marie has a little more to share with us
Perfect.
next. Okay.
So I think Kendra has another poll question as well, but we can go either way. Kendra, you can either.
I'll turn it over to you, Marie, and we'll do it before we do the website. How's that work?
Okay, well, highlight me and everybody can see what I will be having for my dinner tonight. So it appears I have finished, but this is something really cool to do. It's, you know, chocolate doesn't get so hot that it would burn little fingers. So it's really great to do if you have little kids in your home. The kiwi is my favorite. I can live with or without the strawberries. The bananas are good. As I said, those are my husband's favorites. But it's really simple. You know, we've done the whole thing. No real big mess to clean up. If you have little kids and you're working with them, you can put sprinkles on there. You can do anything you want. The sky's the limit. So to me, it's a really easy way to get my granddaughter to eat fruit is to put just a little bit of chocolate on there and it's gone. So just try it. It's a win-win. Sometimes you got to sacrifice just a little bit.
It's nice that you've got those different colors too. So there's something red and green and white and brown, but you could, and you said pineapple, that could be the yellow and just all different kinds of colors.
Absolutely.
We all want virtual strawberries. I wish they could figure out a way that we could taste test virtually.
When we get that technology, we will be sure to share it with everyone.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you, Marie, for that demo. I'm going to remove your spotlight now and launch our poll. So before we show you or give you a peek at our website, what we'd like you to do is respond to our poll. We are very interested in knowing what topics you are most interested in learning about during this series. So we put some out there for you to respond to, and you can choose all that look interesting to you. You might need to scroll down because we put a lot of topics out there. If you have things that aren't listed here, we would love to see them in the chat. So if you have specific topics or other things that you would like to see, we would definitely like to hear from you. So I'm watching the poll change a little bit here while people put in the top things that they would like to learn in this series. Every month we're going to have a new lesson, and every month along with that will be a Zoom meeting where we can highlight some of the things that you are most interested in learning about. We'll give you just a second longer on the poll.
And there's also people, and I saw something in the newspaper as well when this was advertised, people wanting to learn more canning. So that's something in a class at some point in time that may be able to be done virtually. The Instant Pot is some things that the air fryer, slow cooker, Instant Pot, also packing materials. I'm not sure if that means if you're going out somewhere and you're bringing a dish.
Or if you're taking a cooler to the beach and you need to know how to pack it so that it's safe, right? That's some great ideas. But Laura, maybe you can add to that so that we know. It looks like we have some folks that are very interested in some easy recipes. So the top two answers that I see are one dish meals and simple recipes. That's my style.
Yeah, and somebody said something about how to peel and roast garlic, and I am hoping I'm going to get to that sometime in the next few lessons. I'm not sure which one, but I'm hoping to cover that.
So I think you can all see this, what the responses were.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Then I'm going to stop sharing that. I am going to share my own screen so that you can see the website while you're waiting to see this. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, please put those in the chat. So this is our website. And you have the link. It should be in the chat box. Our website features self-paced lessons that you can do in between our Zoom meetings. We have each month, following each month's Zoom meeting, we'll roll out a new lesson. So this time you're only going to see lesson 1, and I'll take you there right now. You should see kitchen basics as our first lesson. And in this lesson, you're going to learn all the basic cooking skills that you need to set your table for better health. So we have videos. These are all very short, quick and easy videos on knife skills, what are the most commonly used knives, some supermarket savvy, some food safety information, some great information on dining out and saving money, stocking your pantry. And if you never knew the difference between measuring wet and dry ingredients, this is your chance to learn. We also have some handouts for you to read through to learn a little bit more about food safety. You know, when you're cooking, especially for other people, right? You want to make, well, I don't want to get sick either. So you want to make sure that the food that you're preparing at home is safe and that you're storing it. Those leftovers don't last forever. So we'll ask you in the next lesson what you learned about how long you can keep those leftovers. And then Marie demoed the chocolate video today, but it's here for you to review again. And as we've said, each one of our lessons is set up with a do-it-yourself, a DIY activity. So we have 2 DIY activities that go with our lesson for this month. DIY 1 is the chocolate dipped fruits. So you get to try out the recipe that Marie used to demo for us today. And we want to see your fun on social media. So please post those pictures or videos to social media, whichever ones you like to use, with the hashtag #AHealthyTable. DIY 2 is a lead-in to our later in February session where you can try a simple quesadilla or a stir fry if you prefer. This recipe can go either way. The title we really should probably fix, but you can make the stir fry version or the quesadilla version, whatever your preference is. Again, try it at home. Use the hashtag #AHealthyTable. And we want to see all the fun that you're having trying out those recipes. And before you go, we would really like your feedback on our survey after you've tried out the lesson so that we can learn as we go. So are there any questions about the website or anything that you have learned today? I'm going to stop my share.
There are a few folks, Tanya mentioned, this is not a question, but foods or meals that work well to make ahead of time for, meal prep. And so that can be really good. Sometimes that's, meals for a week or just making sure you have everything ready for the next night or two. And a lot of people have mentioned that they, that the air fryers and the Instant Pot, they really like those a lot. Some of those are follow your manufacturer's instructions and experimenting. So we'd love to hear about that as well. What's working really well for you if you want to share that information.
Awesome.
Well, great. I think that was a wonderful first session. So yay to the team and to our team that was doing all the demos and our lessons today. Are there any questions or comments before we wrap it all up? We want to thank you very much for joining us today, for taking time out of your day. Please let us know what you think about the website. Our next session is on Tuesday, February 23rd. Our times are at 7:30 Eastern and 6:30 Central, and we will try to keep all of our Zooms right about an hour time frame. So yeah, there's a little confusion about hashtag, and I see that on the website I need to fix it. So you please use the hashtag a healthy table. I don't think the other hashtag is being used either, but try to get that A in there to start. So I'm going to stop the recording now and we can hang out in case there's anybody that would like to ask some questions that aren't recorded.